Welcome, friends, to this second half of today's session. I'm very happy to be back again to follow up on what I talked in the morning about blind faith and living faith. And we should make a distinction between the two. If you believe in something and that something remains the same forever, it's blind faith. If you believe in something and that leads to progressively new experiences, inside and outside, it's living faith. On the spiritual path, if you are following the spiritual path, there should be living faith. That means every day you should find something new that's happening. If it doesn't, then look at your own self and see, am I doing my homework? Am I trying to shift my attention from things that are outside to what is inside me? If you are progressively shifting your attention from things outside to what is within you, then you will be making progress. You can try it out. Most of the times these friends have come to me and complained nothing is happening is because nothing is happening in their own style of meditation. They meditate like a ritual and they put all their attention on worldly activities. Meditation is merely a very small part of their ritual, and while they are performing the ritual, they are still thinking of all the worldly things. How can there be a change? Meditation, to be real, is a means only to shift your attention from things that are happening outside to what is inside you. Therefore, review it yourself on a daily basis. Am I making my meditation more useful, more meaningful? Have I today thought less about things that are outside and more about what's going on inside me? Have I explored what's inside this darkness when I close my eyes? Is there darkness? Is there something else? Can I look out and see if there are any images around me? What is the situation outside? Where am I sitting in this darkness inside? Am I shifting my position? Have I moved backwards since I started? Have I moved forward towards my eyes in the head? These are issues that you should examine on a daily basis and see if you're making progress. When you examine these and make progress and put more attention on these things, automatically you will see new experiences will arise and make your faith a living faith. The most important thing in meditation that I discovered, and I've shared with you before, is that the meditation where you merely close your eyes and sit and think about the world is no meditation at all. If you want to make meditation effective, the very first step and the most important step is to feel that you are not this body, that you are inside this body, that this body is a house of yours, a mansion of yours, a vehicle of yours, and it has many several parts, that the part above the eyes, to the top of the head, that this section of your body is the place which you should call your meditation chamber, in which you should meditate. It's a single, separate place in the whole body. It's not necessary to go to heart chakra and other chakras and go all the way around. Just one small section, just a small little piece. This, your forehead and the area behind it, is all that is required for good meditation. Think of nothing else except that part, that you are in this area, and you are sitting behind this area, and this is a wall in front. The eyes are some doors, you have locked them for a while, and you are sitting in the center of this little hall, little place, your meditation chamber. If you don't do this and start by closing your eyes and feeling conscious of your whole body all the time, what meditation is that? Where will it lead you to? Except waste of time. I don't think there's any benefit in merely closing your eyes and sitting for 2.5 hours and thinking about the whole world and all your issues and saying you have been meditating 2.5 hours. 10 minutes of good, effective meditation with your attention behind the eyes is worth more than 2.5 hours of useless meditation thinking of the whole world and sitting in your body with your eyes closed. Therefore, the very first step for effective, good meditation to get you results is to forget that this is you. The body is a vehicle. And you are sitting in the chamber where you are supposed to meditate every day. Decorate it. Make it a pleasant place. You can do so much in that little space behind your eyes. You close your eyes, there's a space there. You can decorate it. Put furniture there with your imagination. Put drapes there all around. Put flowers there. Make it such a pleasant place that you would like to go there every day. But make it there, nowhere else. We are constantly decorating our rooms outside. We even decorate a room which we call as our meditation chamber. We put all kinds of things, candles, we light candles there. We put incense there. Nothing is there outside. We are trying to pull our attention from there and we are putting more attention outside. If you want to put candles, put them inside. Imagination is a very powerful instrument to create anything you want behind the eyes. So when you want to meditate effectively, sit behind the eyes, make that space behind the eyes. No matter how hard the mind tries to jump down, you say, no, I am going to make a very hard floor at the eye level. Because when we try to meditate behind the eyes, so many times we just drop down and we are no longer there. Every now and then we have to remind, where are we? No, we are no longer neither behind the eyes nor above the eyes. We are only going down below into our throat. The reason is simple. Every night we go to sleep. Sleeping is also a kind of meditation because we lose awareness of the body, which we try to do in wakeful meditation also. We try to lose awareness of our body. In sleep also we want to lose awareness of our body, and it's automatic. All our life we have been sleeping at night and finding out we lose awareness of our body and go into a dream state which we forget most of the time. But we are not in the body at that time. How does a dream take place? The wakeful state is one wakeful state in the body where we believe that when we look out from our eyes, we are behind the eyes in this body and looking out from there. When we are looking out with our eyes, we feel our thinking process is taking place in the head, not in the hands, not in the arm, not in the torso, not in the heart, nowhere except in the head. We have a feeling, and a correct feeling, that the whole conscious apparatus is operating from a focal point which is in the head, behind the eyes. And that's our wakeful state. In the dream state, that shifts. If you could find out where does it shift, which can be done by yogic practices, where does it shift? You will find it shifts exactly down below when you're going to dream. When you're dreaming, you believe you're here in the throat. Supposing you could suddenly wake up, halfway in a dream, not fully awake, and touch your eyes, you touch your throat. And think you're touching your eyes. Even when you're half asleep at night and you want to check by touching your eyes, in the wakeful state, you don't have to open your eyes to see where your eyes are. You know where they are. You can close your eyes and touch them with your hands anytime, and you know where they are. You're half asleep, try to touch your eyes, you touch your nose. The descent has already started. Therefore, this movement of our attention, movement of our level or point of consciousness in the human body when we're sitting here, shifts all the time. It shifts during meditation, it shifts when we get higher awarenesses, it also shifts when we get lower awarenesses like a dream state. So therefore, if you want to make use of this consciousness about yourself in a wakeful state, and that's the only state in which you can make use of it. Because the whole experience of free will, the experience that you can make a choice, takes place in the wakeful state. It does not take place in any other state. You cannot make choices when you're sleeping. You cannot make choices if you're in the higher heavens. You can only make a choice here. In the lower state of dreaming, you can't make a choice because it is running like a prescripted thing. You run from place to place. It's happening so fast. Locations change, things change, people change so rapidly, and it all looks very normal. You wake up, it looks very funny. But in the dream, it looks very normal. But you lose that ability to sit and deliberate. Should I do it or not do it? Is it good for me or not good for me? You don't have these choices. When you go to the higher levels of consciousness, you already know what's happening. You know there is no free will, and therefore you lose that ability to make choices. The only stage in human life when you can make a choice or looks like you can make a choice is when you are in a human body in the wakeful state. This is a wakeful state in which I am talking to you. This is the state in which we can make any decision to go within, make any decision to make progress. So therefore, in this state, we stay in the place where we are. Who are we? If we are not the body, we are not the senses, we are not the mind, who are we? And where are we? If we are creating all these things around ourselves, where are we creating from? The answer to this question will depend upon what experience you are having at any one time. When you're in the wakeful state, there is no question that you are right behind the eyes, halfway in, between the ears, and you could draw a straight line between the ears and a vertical line from the center. You are sitting right on the cross in the center. We know that position. It also happens in anatomy. It happens to be so close to your medulla oblongata, to the pineal gland, to the pituitary body. It's right that area where you are already functioning in a wakeful state. It's not an unknown territory. Both physically we can see and experientially we can see where we feel we are, from where we are thinking, where we are making decisions from. We don't have to take our attention somewhere away from ourselves. We have to withdraw our attention to where we already are. We don't have to search for that point. We don't have to search where the third eye center is. I have to search for it. You are there already. You have to withdraw your attention to that point. That means not think of other things, not think of anything other than where you are. So the more you bring your attention there, and the more success you will have. But the best thing is that you don't have to think of anything except that little area, small area of your head, to get all the secrets unraveled, to have the entire journey to your true home performed starting from here. And this body is so wonderful that within this small area, within this very small area of the body, there are some centers of awareness. Just like there are centers of energy. From the eyes below, there are several centers of energy. We have those, we call them the chakras, at the throat center, at the heart center, the navel center, and then at the genitals, and then at the rectum. These are centers which give us energetic experiences. All our energetic experience which makes us alive, keeps us in touch with the world, operate in these centers. But then similarly, there are centers behind the eyes, going exactly behind the eyes, almost horizontally, starting from the center, they move back. But they also are in advance also of the real eye center. And when we start our meditation, we close our eyes, we are closer to the eyes than to the center. It's automatic. And as we try to pull our attention to the center, it looks like we are withdrawing attention because we are doing it from the center and we think we are near the eyes. It's an automatic process in meditation. Then you pull it down and you go to the center, lights come up, experiences come up, images start coming up. Automatically. You don't have to create them. They come automatically. You can be in the darkest of rooms. You can wrap your head around with all types of cloth and still so many images can come and you can see them clearly. That light which makes you see those things are inside. It's nothing to do with the external light and external experiences. So there is so much experience all jam-packed inside and you can open it by proper meditation. So that's important thing. I want to touch only upon the most important things which will give you real living faith based upon your experience, inside and outside. Start from there. Do not think that the whole body is operating in your meditation. You are meditating in the body, in the head, in the center. Make it absolutely certain before you do anything more. Second, control your thoughts, not by stopping to think. Nobody can stop thinking. I have tested it out many times. Nobody can stop thinking. The moment you stop thinking, you'll be dead. Your mind will be dead, you will be dead, the body will be dead, sense will be dead if you really stop thinking. But you divert your thoughts to what you want to think. That means think about what is inside. Just change your thoughts about what is inside you. And once you start thinking about what is inside, your attention will automatically start going in there. take great care not to be interrupting this train of bringing your attention inside by external thoughts. Mind will fight, because mind is so used to taking you outside, it will fight. It almost takes on the position of an adversary. And you don't know that the same mind which you are using all the time, even for thinking, even for using it to your benefit, can turn against you during meditation. Have you ever tried that if you want to put your attention on the heart center, it's so easy? You try to put the attention behind the eyes, it is so difficult. Why should there be difficulty if you're just putting your attention on two different parts of the body? Because the mind loves this, to go to the heart center. The mind resists going backwards where it will lose its own identity and it can be controlled by you. Today it's controlling us. The mind is controlling us, and by putting it in the center, we start controlling the mind. So that is why it resists us. Now once you have done that, then what else is there to take you to the spiritual path? I have said earlier in the morning, the only true spiritual way is love and devotion. All others is to satisfy the mind. Everything else we are doing is just to keep the mind at bay, to play a game with the mind, to say, okay, don't come in my way, I'm on my way, journey to my home. But the true path is path of love and devotion. How do we practice love and devotion? How do we know? How do we have an experience of love? And what is devotion? And how can we have it? It is not a mental game to play the game of love and devotion. It's a spiritual game. Therefore, the mind cannot play it. Thoughts cannot play it. You can't think about it and create love and devotion. People have tried for long periods that maybe we can just work out through our minds and create the ultimate love and devotion for the Lord. No, they're caught up in the words of thought. There's no love and devotion. Love and devotion is a very strange experience. Love comes from somebody who can pull you with his love. Love is drawn out of you. Love is not something you can project. Mental attachments you can project. Mental domination you can project. Mental care you can project. Mental attention you can project. You cannot project love through any mental activity. Love is something that's drawn out of you by a beloved. One who you think you love is pulling your love out of you and making you a lover. If there's no beloved, you cannot have love. You cannot just sit alone and say, I love somebody. There has to be a beloved to pull your love out. And once there's a beloved, the love is pulled out of you. And you feel like pleasing the beloved, doing something for the beloved, being devoted to the beloved. That's devotion. Devotion is a response to love that pulls out the true love out of you. It's so rare to find that kind of true love in this world. Although everybody talks of love. All the time I am in any place I see, I love you, people kissing each other, hugging each other, saying, I love you, I love you. And what are they trying to say? They're saying, I love you. Do you love me? I am doing so much for you. Are you doing it? It's an ego game. Look at the I, the position of I when people are saying, I love you. They make it a mental game. If the beloved says, but I don't love you, they say, then I hate you too. What kind of love is that? In true love, there is no idea of the self which is getting the experience. It's the beloved that occupies the whole of the thought process, occupies the space in the head. The beloved pulls you and makes you feel loved. To find that kind of true unconditional love, which has no expectation, no conditions attached to it, is very difficult in this world. It exists. Actually, it exists in all of us. But we destroy it because we depend so much on our mind and our thoughts. We think ourselves out of all that. But we do have some people who have that unconditional love which pulls us. And there is no expectation on their part what we will do or not do. And that unconditional love pulls us in a way that can lead us to our spiritual goal. We call them perfect living masters. Why do we call them perfect living masters? Because, first of all, they're living human beings. They are masters because they have something more than we have. They can be our masters. They can be teachers. And perfect because they have attained the area of perfection above the mind. Therefore, their love does not come sullied with mental thoughts at all. It comes from purity. And that pure love that comes from them, it pulls us in a strange way. And our mind thinks to doubt about it. It still prevails. It still overrides our doubts, overrides our mind. And that pull of a perfect living master, that unconditional love, is the secret of spiritual progress. When we have that, we are drawn into it and devoted towards that, then a relationship is developed where we are pulled by that love, and nothing can then stop us when we meditate and have the image of such a perfect living master. An image that grows and becomes real at a certain point of time and becomes like a radiant form. That image which is inside, when that begins to pull inside, meditation becomes the easiest thing and it's automatic with that love that we have. That's the true way. That's the true way of growth on the spiritual path. To be pulled within by the pure unconditional love of a perfect living master. People tell me, we don't need a master. I said, sure, for learning about this path, you don't need a master. Plenty of books exist. You can attend many lectures, people giving all the information. But do the books give you the experience of being drawn with unconditional love? I've never seen that. I see people giving so much importance to books. They put them into a pedestal. They call them scriptures higher than themselves. They put more attention on the books than they put on human beings. And yet no books have ever been able to draw us with their unconditional love. Books serve a certain purpose, to give us information, period. True love comes from a human being. And therefore, if for nothing else on a spiritual path, if we need a perfect living master, it is for the experience of unconditional love, without which you will not make any progress beyond the mind. You can have some experiences in the lower levels, but all within the mind. To go beyond the mind, you have to have the experience of unconditional love that pulls you, draws you, and then it goes within, and the master goes within you and pulls you from there and takes you back home, beyond the mind. So that is why I say, if for no other reason, for this one reason, you need the company of a perfect living master. A perfect living master is a human being, just like us. He is not superhuman. He is not a Superman who's come here. He's as ordinary as we are. If he is not as ordinary as we are, we cannot have love for that person. Imagine what I'm saying, that if he is superhuman, you can never love that person. You only love somebody who's like us. If a superhuman being, a Superman flies into this room, you can be awed by that person. You can be frightened by that person. You can even worship that person. But you will never love that person. Love is something very different. Love is at our level. Love is at the level at which we communicate, with words or without words. And therefore, these perfect living masters who can give us that kind of unconditional love are never superhuman beings. They don't even perform open miracles. They perform millions of miracles in our personal lives. But they don't go about showing that they are superhuman. Why should they? It doesn't serve any purpose for them. Their purpose is not to show off in an unreal world who they are. Their purpose is to draw us to our own reality, to draw us to our true home and take us back home with love and friendship with them. It's an amazing thing on this spiritual path, that one thing that the spiritual path can take care of is loneliness. Loneliness is only taken care of if you have a permanent friend with you. A friend you can rely upon at all times, who is with you all the time. A perfect living master with his unconditional love manifests himself in you, in your thoughts, in your feelings, in your experiences, in your visual experiences. He is with you. And You can never be lonely again if you have had an inner experience, a lasting inner experience with a perfect living master. It takes care of a very big thing, big problem that is there of loneliness. Therefore, some people have pointed out to me that you talk about loneliness and curing loneliness with the company of a perfect living master. But isn't it an irony that when we reach our true home, we find we are only one and become lonely again? What kind of journey is this? That here we are lonely in spite of so much company. Because nobody is like us. Our relationship doesn't go beyond skin-deep relationship. We don't experience that companionship that we need. Therefore we are lonely. And then we find a master. And then we are very happy. Then we have some company. Then we travel together. Then we enjoy our company. And at the end, you all merge and become one and become lonely again. That looks like a very strange kind of journey. The truth is that this relationship that we create with a perfect living master does not end even in our true home. In our true home, the one and the many can be experienced together. The one and the two can be experienced together. The one that has been experiencing everything here becomes the one that can experience the relationship that we have created with another. And therefore, that companionship never ends, even when you have full awareness. The second interesting thing is, which you may not, some of you know, that when we go on the spiritual path through meditational techniques and go to higher levels of consciousness, at one time, we can only have one level of experience, one level of consciousness. When we go to sleep, we dream, we forget who we are when we are awake. We are not even aware that we are lying in a bed or sleeping or what. We think we are very active, moving around in a dream. When we wake up, the dream becomes unreal, disappears, and the wakeful state, and we get up and go about our business, this only becomes real. When we meditate and become unaware of this body, an astral body, an ethereal body, a body that has no weight and can fly, comes up, that's our reality, and this disappears, this world disappears. When we go higher up, we lose all form, and we are a formless piece of light, and we go about, and we are concepts and thoughts, and no longer these mundane things. We are very happy, but we are only at that level, everything else becomes unreal. When we go higher up into the spiritual realm, we discover we are a soul. All that was unreal, it all disappears, and only the soul remains real. We go up to the highest place, then what happens? When we go to our true home, it doesn't mean that everything disappears. In the true home, we find that's the home from where everything was being created all the time. Therefore, in the true home, we have an experience of all levels at once. That's a very big difference. Right up to Par Brahm, which is beyond the mind, where the soul recovers its own identity, where the soul discovers it is a soul and was not discovered upon itself. Even there, it's only one level of experience. But when that soul merges and goes back to the true home, it discovers the one and the many are the same and can be experienced at the same time. And all levels that have been created from there and are experienceable from there. You don't lose anything, you gain everything. That is why when these perfect living masters were human beings like us, but their awareness has reached their true home, when they come in front of us and come into our lives, we think they are coming because they have realized something and then they've come back to tell us. That is not true. They don't come back. They are here and they are there at the same time. They are at all levels at the same time. So will you be. If you reach a true home, the entire process of creation at all levels becomes accessible to you because you created it from there. So there's a very big difference between making progress to different levels of experiences, from the physical to the astral to the causal to the spiritual. All those are experiences where only one level of experience looks real, all others become faded out and become unreal. But in the top, everything either real or unreal at the same time. It's all created from there. Even our true home is created from there. In truth, even the true home is not real because being created. If what is being created is not real, then nothing is real except the creator. Except the experiencer, all experiences become unreal. But we want to make experience real. Therefore, this relationship between the experiencer and the experience makes both real. And that's what we do at every level of consciousness, at every level of experience. So this is the beauty of reaching our true home, something that you cannot get even one step lower. The beauty of reaching the true home is you are seeing the whole show at all levels at the same time. And therefore you are everywhere at the same time. Now only very few people upon this planet today are in that state where they are here at every level and also at the top. And they are not only working, talking, doing things in the physical plane like ordinary human beings, simultaneously they are doing work at these other levels also, fully aware of what is happening elsewhere. You can be aware too, because there is no difference between a disciple of a perfect living master who attained the same level as the master. There is no difference in the experience of the two. The perfect living master is here not to make people better. He is not here to make them have a higher experience. He is here to make them exactly identical like him. He makes them exactly like him. And they have the same experience that he is having, which is experience of totality. You can't call totality of consciousness a total experience if this part is being excluded from it. You can't call our Sachkhand to be a true home if these are all not part of it, because where are these then? Where is this experience from? Totality must be total. And to be total, it must include everything, including what we think is an illusion of a dream, illusion of a reality that we think is wakeful state, and all other levels of consciousness. Therefore, if you want to follow my brief tip about effective meditation, a meditation that will give you results, that you can count upon to increase your living faith day by day, first make sure that you start from the right place, behind the eyes, starting point. 2, never miss out on watching out for love and devotion. Watch out your master. See if you can see him in everyday occurrence. See when something miraculous happens, do you see his hand in it? If some strange coincidences happen, do you see his hand there? Do you think of him at that time? When you do those things, you are getting a development of love and devotion. Then when you go and meditate, you are making progress without knowing why you are making progress. The progress is not coming because of your effort. It's coming because of your experience of love and devotion. Effort is only necessary to convince the mind. Convince about what? That effort is no good. It is not being made to say that by your effort you will succeed. You can succeed with your efforts in physical goals. You can succeed with your effort when you make here. Therefore, we are trained to make effort for everything. While we are in the physical world, all the training we get is you can get nothing without effort. And therefore, you have to put your best effort forward. We are trained for that. Our mind is trained for that. Therefore, we think, well, instead of doing a course in my educational system or doing a long athletic program or something, I have to make effort. I have to make effort also on my spiritual path. We're trained like that. So we start like that. And perfect living masters are so accommodating. They say, okay, you believe effort will work, go ahead. We'll give you more task for effort. So he satisfies you. Yeah, we are now making an effort, now we'll get something. And then what happens? You try hard and you try hard and say, this is not working. Something is missing somewhere. What is missing? What is missing is, it's not a path of effort. You are making the effort because your mind has to go through it to believe that effort doesn't work. That's another problem. The mind doesn't believe second-hand information. The mind says, I want to experience myself. I want to see who says effort doesn't work. I want to see if it doesn't work. But you get the answer practically. You try and it doesn't work. Therefore, something else works. I remember a very devoted disciple of great master. Diwan Daryailal, a beautiful man. He was a very devoted satsangi and a retired judge, a retired finance minister of a state in India, and he, when he retired, he came to Great Master and he said, Master, I have retired. I want to do service. I want to do seva. And Great Master told him, you are such an educated person, you have held high positions in the government, you can take any job you like. You can be secretary of this organization, you can be financial advisor to this organization, you can take up any duty. He said, no sir, I only want one duty, to be your doorman. If you will let me stand outside your door, that's the best seva. Great Master said, okay, done. So all his life he was a doorman. He stood outside the door. He enjoyed that job though. He saw a lot of wonderful people coming to see Master. He would look in their eyes, so much expectation, so much joy, so much stuff. And he enjoyed looking at all those beautiful disciples. And he also enjoyed Master's blessings being given to so many people. He led those people inside to see the Master. It's a great seva and great enjoyment. After some years of that seva, after years of doing the doorman's work, he went to Great Master and he said, Master, I have enjoyed the work you gave me, but I have missed out on something very important. Great Master said, what was that? I missed out on my meditation. I never meditated properly. I never got any inner experiences. I should have caught up with that. Master, will you give me permission to go to your house in the mountains where you're not going this year in the summer? Can you give me the keys of your house for 3 months so I can go and meditate day and night 3 months and catch up with the lost time? Great Master took out his keys. He said, here you are, Daryailal. Go. He took the keys and with great anticipation, he'll catch up with all the lost meditation. He went up to that mountain resort, and as soon as he opened the door, a man came running, sir, you have come, we are waiting, we are plumbers, we have to work in the pipes here. And they began to work on the pipes. Then somebody else came. There was more disturbance there than he ever had before. Moreover, he was so distracted there, he couldn't meditate. 3 months he spent trying to meditate and couldn't meditate and came back very desolate and very much in despair, disappointed. Came back to Great Master. He returned the keys, said, Master, I failed. I went there to succeed, I failed. I miserably failed. I could not meditate at all. I thought I'll catch up 3 months. In 3 months, all the lost meditation. And I failed completely. Great Master laughed and said, no, Daryailal, you did not fail. You passed. You succeeded. You succeeded in the very purpose for which you took the keys and went there. You found out that your effort can give you nothing. That was the whole purpose. Therefore, it's not the effort. You are drawn by something. You are drawn by love of some power that can pull you. Is quite different from your own effort to move forward. So that is why the meditational technique itself provides for 2 pathways. And you can see them right in the beginning. Even when you don't know how well you are being pulled by the love of the perfect living Master, you can still distinguish between 2 pathways. One is a pathway where you put your effort. In that, you have to repeat mantra. You have to close your eyes, sit in certain position, in asanas, and do your own effort to do things, and then use your effort to repeat words in order to concentrate your attention inside. That's your effort. Then there is another way, and that is when you have made this effort, it doesn't succeed, you begin to hear a sound from inside, a sound that has a pull in it, a sound that is like love sound, like a love bird singing, and you are pulled by that. That sound, when it comes, you just follow the sound where it's coming from. It takes you back home. I compare these 2 pathways to the 2 types of cars I see here, the rear wheel drive and the front wheel drive. The rear wheel drive car runs because you push it. The engine pushes the car. And the front wheel drive pulls the car. So when you are using the pathway of mantras and repetitions and your own efforts and force, you are driving rear wheel. And when the inner power of love and the sound pulls you, it is the front wheel drive. So therefore, you will find that the push method only goes very far, not very far, only go a little distance. The other method goes all the way. So it is only for some time that you can push and find pushing is not helping. It's only going very little. But then after that, the other one takes up. When we say a sound that pulls you, what sound is that? What kind of music is ringing inside us, from which all music has risen outside? What kind of song and melody is going on inside each one of us, without regard to nationality, without regard to whether it is a criminal or is a holy man or somebody. Everybody, every human being has a sound ringing inside. And just by putting your attention within the head, you can hear that sound. The more you put your attention inside, the more clearly you can hear those sounds. What sound is that? Where does it come from? That sound does not come from the ears. In fact, when you plug your ears, the sound is stronger. Where does sound come from? The sound comes from yourself. The sound comes from the very self, which is operating at all levels from the same origin, our own true home. The sound comes from our true home and comes all the way down here. The sound never stops. It creates the identity of the self. It gives you a feeling, I am there, I am a self. It gives you a feeling, self is there. The only unproven thing that carries its own proof. Nobody can say, we can all question everything else. Is it real or unreal? Am I being deluded by hallucinations or not? Is anything real? The only thing which you can never doubt is that you exist. That a self is there. And that sound is coming from that self, which carries its own proof of existence, that you exist. And that sound comes from that self. Therefore, when you listen to the sound and you are pulled by the sound, where are you being pulled? You are being pulled to your own self, the very destination that you are looking for to discover yourself. And as you discover yourself in different sets of creations, different sets of levels of consciousness, you ultimately reach your true home with the same sound. Sound is very powerful. It's not like sound, because sound as we know it occurs in air. Sound, our sound that we hear with these ears occurs in air. And if there's no air, there's no sound. This sound not only occurs without air, it not only occurs in area where there is nothing, no sense perception even. It continues like a resonance even when there is no space and time. It's a very different kind of sound at that point. It looks like it's a power, that's creative power, that's creating everything. The same sound becomes that creative power. So the journey with the sound is a journey by which you are being pulled up all the way. So the method of meditation to be truly successful involves these things. Station yourself at the right starting point. Put in your effort, which is limited to moving your attention as far as you can go. Catch the sound as early as you can. At all times, keep the attention open for the love of perfect living Master. Keep his company outside and inside as much as you can. Follow any leads he gives and see what pleases him and what makes you pleased because you're pleasing him. Ordinary rule of love. Follow that love pattern and be pulled by it within. Listen to the sound and see a remarkable experience inside where the sound and the Master becomes one. Where the sound and you become one. Experience that inside you. Follow that very sound, that very merger of sound and Master, that very merger of light, sound and Master. They all become one as you go on, and ultimately takes you to your true home by simple meditation while you are still in a human body. all this is achievable while you are here sitting in the physical plane in a human body. If you are sitting already in the astral plane, you can't do it. If you're sitting in the causal plane, you can't do it. Because there you see that everything has been pre-written and it starts from here. If somebody sitting in the causal plane with this realization has to come back to be human, to be blinded into ignorance, and then start all over again with feeling, I can make a choice. When somebody said, ignorance is bliss, first time I heard ignorance is bliss, I didn't fully realize it. Today I say it's the truth. It's the ignorance of the future that's the bliss for us. If today we found out what will happen in the next 5 minutes, all ignorance will be blown up and we will have no choice. Free will disappear. If we could know what exactly is going to happen to us in the next 5 minutes and can see it, free will goes away. So that is why we are in a very wonderful state of ignorance in which we feel we can make choices and seek, which is also pre-programmed. The whole show is pre-scripted from our true home. And all that we are watching, all that we are separated to watch, is being created from there. Of course, one can ask a very simple question. If we were so happy there, everything is all total there and everything, all creation is total there, what was the big need to leave it and come back here and then start all over a journey back there? What is the idea of coming here if everything is good there? The answer is that consciousness needs conscious experience. Our very nature, consciousness needs conscious experience, experience of knowledge, true knowledge, experience of true love, experience of its whole self, expanded as much as it can. That's the nature of consciousness. Whether it's in Sachkhand or it's here, it is the nature of consciousness to seek that experience. All this creation is to seek that experience. Unless we have a vast canvas to paint upon, how will consciousness function? Unless we are separate, have a separation from ourselves, how can you experience love? How can a singularity experience love unless there is separation? If we created a separation, and a beautiful one, and we could take this power of love at every level down through separation. Here we are separated from each other, and we want to love each other because we are separate from each other. We are separated from our own identity. We love our own identity. We call it God. We call it Creator. It's a separation that's creating love as an experience. Otherwise, love is our nature. Love is our essence. A love which is our essence becomes an experience through separation and creation of this universe. There's a very great purpose in all this. And when can you be certain of these things that I'm saying? Go back to your true home and look at the whole picture. Look at the entire creation and you get the same answers. All this was perfectly placed so that we could have our true nature of consciousness experiencing consciously different forms of adventures. We have made it so real because we wanted to experience reality. How can an experiencer who is real wants to experience reality except by creating something that is something that the experiencer can experience? How can a creator who is the ultimate truth experience the ultimate truth unless he creates something to experience? Therefore, the whole thing is all based upon an experience of consciousness itself. And that is what is happening right here. I'm very happy you're all seekers of the same thing. And I am a co-traveler with you. I'm traveling the same path that you all want to travel. And we are going ahead together. That's a beautiful thing too, that so many of us are going together. And when we go together inside and outside, it's even more beautiful. When we find we have great company inside and outside, it makes the journey so beautiful. And then we can be participating in the journey even if we have higher awareness. Which reminds me of a book that I read long ago, and I've referred to it earlier sometimes. That is the Chaucer's famous book. the Canterbury Tales. I don't know if some of you had a chance to read it. In the Canterbury Tales, the author, Geoffrey Chaucer, he writes about a group of pilgrims who are going to Canterbury in England for a pilgrimage. And there is no fast transport in those days. They walk, they ride on horses, they have some carts to go along, and they are all going merrily. And to while away their time, while they are on their journey, they tell stories to each other, they sing songs, and they make fun of each other. It's a nice company parting along on the way. Now Chaucer writes so beautifully about the character of those different characters that this particular book, the Canterbury Tales, has been called the foundation on which the new novel rests. Previously, all stories had characters who had no character, which means a king was always a king. A king wasn't a jealous king or a mean king or something, just a king. After Chaucer's book, they all became different characters. Today's movies, today's plays, dramas are all based upon the characterization of the characters as being different. But Chaucer introduced that first time in that book through the pilgrims. And they were good pilgrims and they were all kinds of different pilgrims. Some of these characterizations seem to be good even till today. For example, he is describing an attorney, a lawyer of those days. He says, "There busier a man than him there never was, and yet he seemed busier than he was." It looks like a modern attorney. It describes a lady who was a wife of Bath, and he says, "Husbands at kirk, she had 5. Husbands at church, she had 5. Without another company of youth, I need not talk of that youth." That means, besides other company she had in a young age. These kind of comments were never made about characters in books. Now, the strange thing is that while he's writing these about all these characters, he places himself also amongst those characters. The Chaucer is also going with them. And in the middle of the journey, the other characters say, "Chaucer, come on, now it's your turn. You tell us a nice poem." Now, other characters have told very nice poems already. And Chaucer says, no, I don't know any poem. Don't forget, he's the author of all the characters. All the poetry has been written by the same Chaucer. In the play, he says, no, I am not a good poet. I don't know poetry. And they point out, "No, you are a poet. You write poetry for everybody. So come on with your poem." And he comes out with the worst doggerel rhyme in the whole poem, in the whole story. And not only is not recognized, everybody criticizes him for that in the story. People have said, how could Chaucer, the author of the whole book, who wrote the script for every one of those characters, make himself a character to be crucified by his own creation? They compare this story almost with the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. If he was one with the Father, he was son of God and was one with the Father, and he came and get crucified by his own creation. Chaucer did the same thing. What's the answer to this question? Why did Chaucer get crucified by his own creation with his own pen? The answer is simple. Although in the story he's Chaucer, the pilgrim, actually in reality he's Chaucer who wrote all of them, and he is there for all the characters. This is true about us, that we think we are all separate here and we have different roles to perform here because we are actors on our own scripts. When we go back, we find we wrote the whole script for everyone. Therefore, we are all of them. It is not that we have to believe we are all one or something that we try to do. We are, because we wrote the script for everyone. We are the script writer for all, so we are actually the characters playing all the roles here. A perfect living master comes and puts himself as one of the characters and doesn't care what character he is, because he knows he's all the characters at the same time. So that's why perfect living masters just become so ordinary like us, because that's when we can truly have an experience of love. And when we find unconditional love from an ordinary human being, we get a feeling, this is no ordinary experience, and this is no ordinary human being. He acts like an ordinary human being. He looks like an ordinary human being, works like an ordinary human being, lives like an ordinary human being, but he is not ordinary because his love is not ordinary. And ultimately, that is what the real secret is. The secret is the unconditional love of a human being who has raised his awareness to totality. And that is what pulls us back to our true home. It's very difficult to find these people. In fact, we cannot find them. Because there's no way, if they're so ordinary, how will we find them? They look ordinary, they speak ordinary, their life is ordinary. Then how can we find them? No way to find them. The only good thing is they can find us. If they are perfect living masters. If they are everybody and know everybody's script, they should be able to find us. And when will they find us? When we seek to be found. When we seek the truth inside us. When we seek to go back home. And when we seek in our own inner recesses of our thoughts, inside us, without telling anybody that we are seeking, and they can come upon us and say, here we are. Then there's some good relationship that we know we sought inside, and somebody from outside where we were looking came up and took us back home. That's what happens. That's why in India they say, when a chela is ready, when a disciple is ready, the guru appears. They don't say that when you are ready, you will find a guru. They don't say that, because you cannot find. But you can be found. So just be ready to be found. And to be ready to be found means that have that seeking inside you with all your heart. And feel you're waiting for something. And you will see that by coincidences or a series of coincidences outside, such a person, human being, will come into your life. And if you are not sure, give it some little time. Have a few meetings. Wait for a while. Ultimately, the unconditional love of that human being will pull you. That is the sign. People ask me, what's the sign of a perfect living master? Every time I give a list of things, they say, any fake masters can also do these things. And I have to agree. Many very good actors can do those things. But when it comes to a consistent, unconditional love coming from somebody pulling you, fake master cannot do that. So therefore, my criteria is, if you have a seeking in your heart, and you come across a person who with his unconditional love pulls you, follow him. A friend of mine wrote to me that he has a little problem in deciding who is a perfect living master. I gave him this definition. He says, 2 of them are pulling me at the same time. I said, you are very lucky. We can't find one. You found 2 altogether. Now, don't sit in judgment that who is pulling you more or less. Follow any one of them. And automatically you will find how far that master can take you. These masters can be masters from different levels of consciousness. And they come at different times in our lives. And they take you where they have gone. And that is their role. And that is our stage, to be taken to that stage at that moment in our own lives. Our life is not only one life, we have had series of lives. These experiences keep on happening to us. And if a master takes us only one step, we are ready for one step. That's what we looked for. But if our seeking goes on after that, next master will come and take us higher. If our seeking is for the true home, ultimate true home, a master will take us back to a true home. The guarantee of going to a true home does not lie outside. It lies in your own seeking inside you. Seek the ultimate, you will get the ultimate. I wish you all great success on your spiritual journeys. I'm sure that we'll travel together and we'll get more opportunities to get together. And I'm very happy to see all of you today, to share this with you. Thank you very much. God bless you.